What is up, everybody? A little bit different location than usual, different lighting, different everything, but all good. We're still going to be going over everything today with the 2023 Southern 500. I am live at my fantasy football draft. We have a room here for us to discuss the race we just witnessed at Darlington. Right in the other room is a bunch of people having fun out there, tons of music. If there's echoing, I apologize. That's just all me. I didn't prepare well enough, but what is up, everyone? It's going to be, the famous Iceberg wherever. But we will be going through all these super chats in a moment. We'll be going through the finishing order. I believe they're about to show us our playoff standings. Let me know how the sound is. I can adjust as we need. But we have the playoff standings right now. Kyle Larson will advance with a win at Darlington to the round of 12. After that, you got William Byron plus 45, Tyler Reddick plus 30, Busher plus 27, tied with Denny Hamlin. And then you got Martin Truex Jr. coming home 25 points up in 6th. 7th is Kyle Busch plus 20, Brad Keselowski plus 18 in 8th. Then Ryan Blaney plus 16, Ross Chastain plus 13, Joey Logano plus 3, Christopher Bell plus 1. After that, you got -1 for Bubba Wallace, -2 for Kevin Harvick, -4 for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and -19, the biggest loss of the night, coming to Michael McDowell. McDowell supremacy not reigning tonight, but either way, we are having a good time. And thank you, everybody, for the well wishes and just the congratulations on the engagement. I appreciate it a ton. I think the hardest part so far is now knowing I have technically not yet, but will have counting 7 nieces and nephews. That'll be different to say the least. But let's get into it, and hopefully I did not just ruin the settings with what I just did to my mic. You might be able to hear there is loudness out there. We do not care. We're going to have fun with this thing. Let's go over the 2023 Cookout Southern 500. It was 367 laps long, 4 hours, 8 minutes, 45 seconds, 13 lead changes among 7 leaders with 8 cautions on the night. So, again, I have words to say about the finish. I have things to say about the rest of the race, but let's go into the running order, or the finishing order. Lick that like button, subscribe if you're new, and the door is wide open so anyone can come in and say hey, but that's all good. Darian might be able to come in here in a little bit if he's watching. Let's look at the finishing results of this race. Kyle Larson gets the win over Tyler Reddick, then Chris Buescher in 3rd. 4th is William Byron. 5th is Ross Chastain. Brad Keselowski 6th. 7th is Bubba Wallace. Then Chase Elliott comes home in 8th. 9th is Ryan Blaney. 10th, Eric Jones. Kyle Busch in 11th. Joey Logano 12th. AJ Allmendinger 13th. 14th, Eric Almirola. Chase Briscoe 15th. 16th is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Then Carson Hocevar in 17th. 18th, Martin Truex Jr. 19th, Kevin Harvick. And 20th is Austin Dillon. After Dillon, we have Ty Gibbs in the 21st place spot. 22nd is Corey LaJoie. 23rd, Christopher Bell. Then Justin Haley, 24th. 25th is Denny Hamlin. 26th, Todd Gilliland. Ryan Newman comes home 27th. 28th is Ryan Preece. Ty Gibbs, 29th. J.J. Yaley, 30th. Austin Cindric, 31st. Then Michael McDowell, Alex Bowman, Daniel Suarez, Harrison Burton, and B.J. McLeod. The bottom 5 out of this race. As for those lap down, that was Bell, Haley, Hamlin, and Gilliland. Newman 2 down, 3 down for Preece and Ty Dillon, 5 down for Yaley, and 6 for Cindric. But that is the finishing order tonight. We're going to post those right at the top of the screen here. And thank you guys for coming in late on a holiday weekend. I would be right back for 1 second. Actually, no, I'll call Darian in here because Darian can jump on in. So But let me know if the audio is all good. We got the finishing order, upcoming shows, everything like that. We're going to go into this race. Lick that like button. I want to get the likes up. And I'm going to see if Darian wants to cameo. So, all right, sent that text, and he'll be able to come in here. Again, new location for the night. So thank you guys for bearing with me and my struggles to just stay within my head here. But let's go into this race. Christopher Bell is on pole. After that, and Kyle Busch was in the rear, or to the rear. And then, honestly, it was a pretty orderly opening to this race. On lap 32, you really had green flag pit stops. You had a long green run to start out this race. Bell would slide into his stall and have a slow stop. Again, I was at my fantasy draft, so I don't know in particular every little issue that happened or whatnot. I thought the start of the race got good, and it got, at least passing-wise. Yes, I know Darlington is supposed to be difficult in passing, but I'm going to be honest. At first, it felt pretty good. Second half of this race felt like a 550 horsepower race. I'm not going to lie about it. I'm not here to kiss y'all's ass. That's how it felt watching this race. It was difficult to watch at different times. Towards the end as well, we'll talk about that. Really quick, I'm going to see if I can close this door really quick, and then Darian will peek his head in and let me know. So I'll be right back in one moment. Dog barking that came in. So all good. But yeah, we'll have a cameo in a minute. Yeah, sorry about that, y'all. The dog came in barking, and then there's also a bird here too, and I didn't want to wake the bird. But let's get into the rest of this though, and then we'll get into the super chats after the first stage that we talk about here. So during the first round of pit stops, you had Bell having issues. He had the fastest car early, and as we will find out, was not able to stay up there long term. Stenhouse also was too fast, had to do a pass-through penalty, and with that, issue started up. But he was able to at least seemingly recover a bit. From there, you got lap 60 is really the first battle for the lead on track. Hamlin does pass Tyler Reddick for the lead, only about 7 laps later, though green flag pit stop start. Bubba has a bad start. Chastain gets lapped in this. It's a lot of issues early for playoff guys, but they're able to recover as the night goes on. And that's something about this race with it being so long. You are able to recover later on in the night. But on lap 90, you have Michael McDowell lapped. Then 2 laps later, you got Hamlin past Reddick. Hamlin wins stage 1 over Tyler Reddick. I got the results right here. Third was Larson, then 4th going to Harvick, 5th Blaney, 6th Brad Keselowski, 7th goes to Elliott, Bell in 8th, 9th Buescher, and 10th Eric Almirola, who had a solid night for his standards. At the end of the stage, Bell hit the wall hard. You had Chastain getting the free pass, and Bubba spinning for really no reason, as he didn't have to really battle Joey Logano and others for a spot. He was not going to get stage points at the end of stage 1, but is what it is. It didn't ruin his night, and he was able to continue. And we got Darian in here. Make sure that light goes there. Darian's going to cameo really quick, and then we'll read the super chats. Darian, what did you think of the 2023 Southern 500?
Woo-hoo. Boy, we had a hell of a race. Got a ton of. Sorry to Harvick, man. Hey, look, he'll be back. I mean, that wasn't his fault. The wreck happened so fast, and I know it looks easy on TV, like, oh, he should have just not pit. I mean, but you're not on the race car. So Denny Hamlin, once again, either him or his crew screw over himself. Either or usually happens. And Kyle Larson, I mean, look, less mistakes, and he's been inconsistent all year, but he had the best car at the end when it mattered the most. Yes, horsepower came into play, but Larson and his team are still one of the best. So, hey, they won another crown jewel. Congratulations to them.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the finish in a moment, but I think I don't know if you want to stay in and talk more or not. Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Goodbye, guys. It's your boy Darren Gilliam, aka Black Flags Matter. Catch you next time.
Make sure that light keeps the door closed.
By the way, I drafted
Oh, did I get CJ Stroud? Awesome. I got CJ Stroud in the 16th round. Yeah, just make sure that stays there. All right, sorry. I'm doing like all the. Oh, Darian might be locked. I think Darian's locked in. Hold on. Darian locked himself in. Darian locked himself in. We got him out. All right. This is the absolute weirdest post-race stream we're ever going to do. I swear. We'll be in Kansas next week. But let's get these super chats. Y'all have left some good super chats, and I want to answer them. And thank y'all for the support really quick. And then we'll get to stage 2, the final stage overall. I took tons of notes, even if it wasn't the most eventful race. Jam_plays_games. Thank you for the 2. Harvick got turbo screwed by Reddick. Yep. I agree, and I think that's something that a lot of people are going to be talking about this week. That was not Rick Ware Racing Drip. That was also our car, the podcast party bus from TJ McLeod's team Live Fast. I'm just looking in the chat just to answer y'all. Ross Crash staying for 5 as a Bowman fan and a Suarez fan. I'm in Spain without the S. I bet. Fred Dog 81. They give her the 2. How many of us are screaming drive through Harvick? I know. I don't know why they pitted. We'll talk about that as well as we get later on into this. Oh, baby, for 2. Congratulations on getting engaged. Thank you. And I appreciate all the well wishes y'all have sent my way. It is well appreciated by both me and by Marissa. Matthew Brown, thank you for the 10. It's about time Larson's luck turned around. Let's go 5 teams. Sorry, Danny, but Bowman needs to be dropped after that dumb block. Yes, congratulations on the engagement, man. Well, thank you. And the Bowman stuff we will talk about because I have a lot to say about Alex Bowman's, in my opinion, idiotic move on Daniel Suarez. I thought that was one of the dumbest moves I've seen all season. I don't understand why he made that, but we'll get to that. I promise we will get to that. Video game sports for 5. My favorite part of NBC coverage is no static during radio communications. I've been waiting for this for years. Nice. And then Marky Mark left 2, and I'll read these 2 and then get into stage 2. 1 for 5. What a race. Crazier than last year's, in my opinion. I think for a lot of events, yes. Racing itself, maybe not. And then also for 2, congrats on the engagement. I appreciate it a ton. We will get to the rest of the super chats, but let's get into stage 2. So Logano had gotten into the wall, gotten into Bubba, just had some problems. He starts out the stage in the pits with the hood up. Kind of, something that I think not many of us really, I don't know if we saw it coming, but Logano's just been on and off and had bad luck. So I'm not surprised that he had issues. But at the same time, it's like, man, the defending champion, you'd think it'd be better luck. Wasn't the end of the night, though. At the same time, though, stage 2 had Dale Jr., Kyle Petty, Dale Jarrett. I think those 3 together have a lot of chemistry. You can tell that they either race together a lot or work together or lived through the industry together well. But on lap 123, all of this in the rearview mirror or during it, we have the restart. Bell runs terrible after smacking the wall in this stage. You have green flag pit stops where Truex goes 2 laps down after a loose wheel. This would not be the last loose wheel of the night to hurt a playoff contender. On lap 180, we have the caution, though, coming out, an eventual red flag for the lights going out. I don't know the last time I can remember where the lights went out at a racetrack. I remember Kansas in 2015. I don't know whether or not that was the last, or was it 2014 or 15? I don't know if that was the last time, but that's the last time I remember was the Kansas incident. There might be other ones, but let me know in the chat what's the last one y'all remember. Was it 2014 Kansas? Because that's the only one I can think of in recent years. I mean, there was like the caution lights coming out when they weren't supposed to at Bristol, but it was definitely an odd one. I guess Worldwide Technology Raceway had everything go out for a while, so I guess that could count, but it was definitely one of the most odd things I can remember happening in a crown jewel race in a while. I mean, a lot of people are saying, yeah, there's Daytona 500 practice in 2011, but man, that was something. But we have, I think, about a 20-minute red flag because of that. We were going at a really good clip at this race. I thought this race was going to be over in less than 3.5 hours the way it was looking. But they finally restarted on lap 192. Almirola gets into the wall in front of Keselowski, and the real next issue is BJ McLeod blowing up, bringing out a caution. He'd be the first one out, finishing last. Just not a good year for BJ at Darlington, to say the least. But the green flag comes back out about 4 laps later. Denny Hamlin gets ahead of the 5 and the 43. And this time, Austin Cindric and Ty Gibbs get into a crash together. Luckily not taking out any of the playoff guys. But most outside of the front guys choose to pit. You have a 1-lap race to the end of stage 2. You have those who are racing for the win versus stage. Denny Hamlin wins stage 2 over Kyle Larson, Eric Jones, William Byron, and Tyler Reddick, the top 5. Kyle Busch comes in 6th in this. And then the stage, then 7th is Ryan Blaney, Austin Dillon 8th. 9th is Brad Keselowski, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. gets a bit of a recovery, gets probably a much-needed stage point in his quest to not be a one-and-done this year in the playoffs. And that leads the tables open and the doors open and everything is open for the final stage of the night. Really quick, I'll read these last couple super chats that y'all left, and then we'll get to the final stage of this race. I do agree with Jay in the chat, though. Carson Hocevar, if you did not believe that he has a great talent before tonight, yes, Legacy did pretty well at this race last year and this year, but my God, finishing 17th, being on the lead lap all night, outrunning at different times, Hendrick cars, or Gibbs cars, a lot. Like, he outran Martin Truex Jr. pretty much the entire night. Carson Hocevar is a legit talent, and I hope he does not settle with a mediocre Cup team if they offer it. I hope that he takes only the highest possible ride, because he has the talent to make it far in NASCAR, and I think that he really should be watched as a great talent. He's matured a ton in the last year. He has made starts in every series and done well for the equipment he is in every series. And I could totally see in 2 or 3 years Carson Hocevar winning races in the Cup Series if given a good enough ride. I hope he gets a JRM car, to be completely honest with you. I hope he gets Barry's ride. I don't know if that'll happen. Sponsorship is the big question. But, man, Carson Hocevar deserves to have a great chance moving forward. Steve-O, though, thank you for the 5. Can someone please explain why Reddick was not penalized? Surely that move influenced the outcome of the race. Would love to see the SMT data, Denny. Now, I will say, I did get caught up in a lot of stuff at the start of the final stage when some of these were early in these issues. So if I'm not 100% clear, correct me. I'm just saying what I saw. I couldn't hear the commentary too much in the final stage. Some of y'all are saying that Junior defended Bowman's move. I think, listen, I love Dale Jr., but if that's the case, that is totally in the wrong. Some of you are saying different stuff about the Reddick thing. We'll get into that, I promise. Thank you to Illustrious Freedom for the, is that, I don't, $2. Is that Australian? But it says, Kyle Larson, let's fucking go. Yep. Kyle Larson earned this win tonight, even though I do have things to say about, the finish of this race. Dale Jarrett called Bowman and Suarez sensitive. Well, let's be real. A lot of people that are newer drivers and unfortunately my generation are very sensitive people, unfortunately. I have to censor myself because people are too damn sensitive that I'll get demonetized for bullshit like that. But NASCAR Fanatic, 24-25 for 5. Great to see the 5 win again. And congratulations again to you, Jarrett. You're going to make a great husband. I hope so. I really hope so. I will defer to my soon-to-be wife on that one. But I appreciate it. And I will use what y'all are saying in my defense if I do anything wrong in between now and then. Fred Dog 81, thank you for the 5. Should Bowman be punished if you think maybe too hard about it? It's sort of similar to what Elliott did to Hamlin at Charlotte. We'll talk about that. I don't think it's the same as what Elliott did at Charlotte to Hamlin. I think that that's a little bit of mental gymnastics personally, but it's still a dumb move. M. Martin fan for life. Thank you for the 5. I love Dale Jr., but he was wrong to defend Bowman. Even Hendrick drivers can screw up, Jr. This is what I love about y'all. I love that even though it is Redneck Jesus in the booth, y'all still will give your thoughts. I like that. Alessandro's in chat saying Jeff Burton sounded pissed when he saw what transpired with Bowman and Suarez incident. I'd be too. I thought it was damn dumb. We'll get to it, I promise. Austin Bland said thank you for the 2. I was watching LSU, FSU. What I missed, bro? You miss a lot. You definitely want to rewatch a lot of it. Let's get to the final stage, and I can update a bit of that. 110 to go. Larson has a major wall scrape, though it does not affect that car to the finish. He is able to race it to the end, as we saw. With 97 to go, you have some green flag pit stops. Hamlin, who has been up front, has been one of the best guys of the night, has a loose wheel. And that pretty much cost him the win. He does not recover. Pulling up the results really quick. I let the other ones go away, but I believe Hamlin came home 25th. Never was able to recover, got caught off the lead lap, and was never really able to get back on the lead lap because of that penalty. With 75 to go, you have J.J. Yaley with an issue getting into the wall. They stay green. 67 to go, though. Harvick is starting to push his way towards the front. You have Busch going to the pits after, in his words, nailing the wall. He's running mediocre for most of the night with that car. But this is where everything goes to hell in a handbasket. For a lot of the night, it was looking like it was going to be Denny Hamlin or Tyler Reddick winning this race. Tyler Reddick in that baby blue Jordan, North Carolina colored car. But Newman spins as Reddick had slowed down because Harvick's going into the pits. Reddick slows way down the top. Newman has nowhere to go, spins it out. We have a caution. The 22, 42, and 34, it looked like got in okay. At that point, they're good to go. But Kevin Harvick gets dinged going down the pits. He is about 10 feet away from the line when the red light goes out. And that was not the big issue. I saw a lot of people complaining about this on Twitter, in my chat before. I saw a lot of that. But I'm going to say this. This has been a rule for a long time. And I get that we all wanted I know a lot of us wanted Harvick to win this race. He's a sentimental favorite. He's got 9 races left now in his career unless he comes back for one-offs. We want to see Harvick have that triumphant victory right at the end. I wanted to see it too. I was rooting for Harvick. Full disclosure on that. I was rooting for him. But we cannot let our emotions get in the way of the fact that this has been the same rule for a long time. Other drivers have, I won't say exploited it, but have found the loophole of not getting penalized, or at least not the loophole, but just followed through of not getting penalized by going through the pits and then coming back around. Harvick pitted instead of just going straight through. I get that it sucks, but I don't get people saying that it is the dumbest rule in NASCAR and needs to be changed. I think you all need to simmer down a little bit on that. It is what it is. You know, some rules, I don't know a better fix to that rule. Because if you say a certain amount of a commitment box per se, or line or something like that, well, then you start running into problems. For instance, if you have a commitment line before that main commitment line, then you're running into problems like you had in a similar way to, say, like the overtime line, where it's like, well, they were at this point here, but it was just close enough, but it's not, so we have to re-rack this, whatever. Or you're having people swerve and maybe hit the wall if you say that, well, it doesn't count. Or if you're saying, well, this little bit of leeway, there's a clear line, and it is a good enough amount of space away that they can make decisions. And sometimes you have those between a rock and a hard place kind of calls for NASCAR, where they're going to have to penalize somebody even though there was no way they could avoid it. It's not like somebody who spun onto pit road and then, you know, like a Casey Kane in 2014, where someone spun on pit road behind him, he gassed it up to avoid the crash, and then they penalize him for that. I would say if that's what's happened to Harvick, that's stupid, needs to be changed. That's not what happened to Harvick. It was a cut and dry rule. You start changing this kind of stuff, rules that very rarely have bad penalties, and you're going to run into some pretty dumb problems. So I'm going to say that now. That's my stance on it. As for Reddick, I think it was a dumb move slowing down that much up top. You're not going to be able to make it where you're running. I thought at first he had a problem, honestly. But ultimately, It costs a lot of people's races. But it's like Spencer says in the chat here. I agree with Spencer on this. Harvick could have avoided the penalty by just simply not pitting his car. And he didn't. That's the rule. It's the rule Kevin Harvick's raced under for, I don't know how long this rule's been in place, as long as I can remember. Kevin Harvick and his team should have known that it wasn't the end of the world, but Harvick could have had a much better finish than 19th on the day, as that flies over the top of me. Y'all can say he should have got second back, but he had the ability to not get the penalty and still got the penalty when it was completely avoidable. Even at that point, you just drive right through. Again, you can disagree, but you're wrong. You're wrong. I'm just saying it now. Hunter Nixon Fishing is a Harvick fan, and he agrees. It's not the greatest rule, but the alternative of having a bunch of gray area is only going to make these calls worse. We want NASCAR to be so for those asking if he drove, because I see some asking about driving through, if he just drove through the pits and didn't pit, he would not have incurred a penalty and probably would have had but a decent spot in comparison because of the scoring loops and everything like that. Those who got in before were fine. So it is what it is. You know, Noah Coleman says it kind of best with the quote, "You get nothing, you lose. Good day, sir." I don't see the need of changing a rule that, in all honesty, is not that egregious of a rule. And I'm not some NASCAR defender either. I don't want people thinking I'm some NASCAR shill that's just going to be like, just gawking at everything NASCAR does, to say the least. But in the actual pit stops, when they do pit, Larson beats Reddick off the pits. This is a major turning point in the race because with 51 to go, Larson and Busch are on the front row. Larson gets the lead. 2 laps later, let's get into the Alex Bowman stuff. This is another one where I'm going to probably be a little ranty on it. With 49 to go, Bowman blocks Suarez damn near down to the inside wall. Suarez then goes from behind him, tries to get to the outside. Bowman keeps blocking. They get together. I saw some people trying to blame Suarez for it. I'm sorry. You throw double blocks, you're going to go into the wall. Unfortunately, they both go in the wall. I thought it was an idiotic block. I did not hear Dale Jr. defend him because of how loud it was around me. I just was seeing it. But that was a dumb move by Alex Bowman. And is kind of a poster child of a very ugly season for the 48 team. A season that I think a lot of them, are on that team are wishing would end any day now. You have, I believe, Harrison Burton gets into it, which is probably why Jeff Burton was so pissed. At the same time, Yaley has another issue where he has a tire go off in the pits, but that's a move a veteran driver should know not to make. Suarez was there on the outside. I get it. That big first block, okay, fine. Could it be egregious? Yes. But coming down with less than 50 to go, I get defending your position. But Suarez was there up top. And I get maybe they got hooked together, whatever. But I thought it was a dumb move. And Suarez said he's a little bit dumb. Y'all said the Dale Jr. was defending him. I don't like that because defending dumb moves, especially when you're pretty biased towards that driver, not a good look for, I would say, the network and the sport. Though it's Dale Jr., so I don't think anything is going to be really said or done. Maybe just like, hey, don't defend moves you wouldn't for any other team out there. But I don't know what to say about that. I saw some being like, well, it wasn't completely Bowman's fault. You're racing hard for a position. It's like, yeah, you're racing hard, but don't race stupid. And that was racing stupid. I've said my piece on it. So there it is. That's it. With 41 to go, we have a restart. Some through the pack had pitted. Kyle Larson leads at this point, but with 37 to go, you have Todd Gilliland getting spun down the front stretch. The 11, 34, and 20 are all involved in the wreck. The 34 gets the worst of it. Michael McDowell's playoff chances probably pretty much screwed at this point, which, again, he had a very small margin for error. Not the worst in the world. I believe, like I said, he's only 19 out, but still not good for the 34 team. A team that's probably going to need to at least have a lot of people have problems or get a win. I don't see them performing top 5 by any means at Kansas and Bristol. Maybe they'll do well, but I'm not going to take it to the bank. It was, I think it was a great showing from the team overall that they made the playoffs in general and were in contention to make the playoffs off of points alone instead of just a fluky win. It's been a good season. I still think they're a one and done. But with this, the top 15 stay out the rest pit. With 32 to go, you get a restart. Larson's ahead of the 45 and the 17. Reddick is dogging him for lap after lap after lap. Busher gets up there right behind Reddick, who is stuck in this half-second bubble of air. There's a bubble of air between the 45 and 17, then the 24. And listen, I hate saying this, y'all. I hate saying it because I love the next gen at most intermediates, and I like a lot of the changes that this car's done outside the short track package and probably the road course package. But this finish was the closest I have felt to a 550 finish than, since I was at Kansas in 2020 for that Logano Harvick Bowman finish where that nobody could get through the dirty air. This felt like a 550 race in just about every way in the last 30 laps. Yes, Larson was, and dirty air is a lot of, is very prevalent, I should say, in any car. But this felt very much like a 550 horsepower package race. It felt like the race was decided with 10 to go. Unless Larson or Reddick screwed up. Again, it's a little more twitchy. If you get it wrong, you get it way wrong. So that is the difference between the Gen 6 550 package and this car. But I was not exactly the happiest with that. I don't know how you fix that. Other than give them some horsepower, man. Give them some horsepower. And I know a lot of people go back to the Gen 6. The Gen 6 sucked. I'm sorry it did. 1 or 2 good years here or there does not make the car overall a good car. Can't go to Xfinity cars. They need to look at how to improve this car over time, because I think this car needs the improvements that NASCAR has talked about. The drivers especially have talked about a lot of horsepower being added in, the gutless engine comments. NASCAR keeps claiming they can't do it, but then when they were testing it, they changed stuff around to it before they even had it out in 2022. NASCAR needs to give them some more power. I think it would help a lot with throttle response. It would help a lot with the racing. It's never going to fix dirty air. Dirty air is always going to be an issue at the speeds that they run in NASCAR. You run those big of brick cars basically in that fast of a bubble, you're going to have dirty air. But I don't know how else to really put it, man. I mean, yeah, 2014 cars were good, but Gen 6, it was pretty clear after that. Gen 6 wasn't the answer, especially if NASCAR wouldn't let them go completely unrestricted. They're not going to. I just want something more back. Go to 750 for all I care. I thought that was a great medium for, the in-between here. But dirty air is still with us, as Irvin says. It will always be there, and there needs to just be workarounds around that. Dirty air has been a problem for 50-something years in NASCAR. Since the beginning in 75 years. I won't say that far back, but maybe 50, 60 years or so. It's always going to be a problem. But cars still race good with dirty air, so NASCAR needs to figure out, and they have a lot of smart people to do that, how to fix that. I don't know how to do that. I will never pretend to know how to do that. Smarter people than me know how to. I'm just a fan saying what I think should be changed. And last but not least on the night, on a more positive note for a lot of y'all, Hendrick Motorsports has hit win 299. So while I finish these super chats, we're going to do a poll. And I think that this is going to be reached by the end of this season. Who gets win number 300 for HMS? Is it going to be Larson in the 5? Is it going to be Elliott in the 9? Is it going to be Byron in the 24? Or is it going to be the showman Bowman redeeming himself in that 48 machine? Who gets win number 300 for HMS? Let me know. We've asked this question a lot. It's almost like when they were looking at 200 back in 2012. It's going to be an interesting way, an interesting finish on this. Austin left a few in here, so I'll read yours as well as a couple others who've left some super chats. Austin, thank you for the 5. When I say I'm proud of you, you can take that to the bank. I'm so proud of you. You will make a great husband. You are in my prayers. So I do appreciate that a ton. And I will let my fiance know that too. I really do appreciate that. And I do mean that when I say it. I don't want to try and like act like one of those YouTubers that acts like I don't know how to put it without saying something mean, but I appreciate that a ton. It means a lot. And NASCAR Sun 2414 for the 10. Congrats Jarrett on the engagement. And my 2025 Cup schedule has 3 weeks off for race teams. I have 10 night races, 6 new tracks, 1 week with IndyCar. What do you think? Well, first, thank you for the congrats. 3 weeks off. I still think that if you get some double headers with the primetime Monday nights, maybe it'll help TV ratings, and you can compact the schedule to give a longer off season, but still have the same amount of races. I could see though 3 weeks off, especially with the Olympic break come 2024, would be an option. I think 2 should be the max. 10 night races. If there's some Sunday night races, I like that. New tracks. I like having new tracks in new areas, and an IndyCar doubleheader, especially if that is at a new track like Iowa, I am down for. Austin Blanchett, thank you for another 2. More Sunday night races before football season on NBC. Well, this is it. Sunday night football is back next week. Football is back. For all your sake, except for the ones that go against my team, I hope your team does well, except if they're against my team. But I hope that y'all do well. Exploiting fans for my benefit. I hope that I do not do that. At least I hope that's not how people see me doing that. Brian Vickers, number 300. I don't think so, especially after the stuff uncovered about his wife. Marky Mark, thank you for the 2. Bowman was blocking like AI on NASCAR 05. Yeah, that's pretty much what he was doing. He reminded me of like this time in one of my career modes on that where I wrecked Dale Jarrett at Dover. Come to Talladega, 1 lap to go, and he wrecks my ass as I'm leading, and I go from winning to finishing like 34th. That's what Bowman looked like tonight. Not a good look. It can improve. I'm not saying get rid of Bowman from the 48 or anything like that. It's just a bad year. But I do think that he'll be under a microscope next year, similar to what Alan Gustafson and Chase Elliott will be as a partnership next year too. Just a bad year, man. It's just a bad year. I find it funny the Lions fan is saying Packers and Vikings are losers. That's funny. If 9-8 is what y'all celebrate, I'm just saying, man. Just saying. And then Austin, thank you for the 2. Why can't we just race the Gen 4 cars? I would love to race Gen 4 cars again, but the safety advancements that NASCAR's made would not fit in that car. And I get people saying, well, just scale it up a bit. You scale it up. Aerodynamically, it's different. By the end of it, man, the Twisted Sister was in full effect. So I would love to go back to the Gen 4. I think it was the best car model that NASCAR ever had, in my opinion. Maybe it's because I was a kid growing up watching it, but I've went back and watched a lot of these races. And don't get me wrong, I think COT is a lot better than people say, even though it did have problems. I just don't think that, even with the safety advancements the tracks have made and that you can put in it, there are some you just can't. The drivers are so cramped in those cars back then. I would love it, but you just can't. But yeah, that looks like it's about it, unless any of y'all have any last-minute super chats. Ending off the poll. And by the way, watch NASCAR Weekly Podcast this Wednesday on Eric Eastep's channel. We'll have a lot of polls on that one, lots of opinions. Me and Darian will probably be catching up on the race. I don't know about a video tomorrow, but either tomorrow or Tuesday we'll have one out. A little bit interesting of one. Maybe we'll be able to get some videos out. I'm very busy on this trip, so for once I'm taking a little time off, a mini bye, I guess. But looking at the poll, we're going to end it right now. William Byron has won the poll with 45% of the vote. Larson, 34%. Elliott, 13%. And Bowman, 6% of the vote on who you think would get win number 300 for Hendrick Motorsports. Austin, thank you for another 2. I know you're a Vikings fan. Do you have a college football team? I mean, I'll root for Notre Dame, but it's not like as much as I rooted for Dale Jr. or the Vikings or the Cubs, the Bulls. So that's how I see it. Oh, hi. But yeah, that'll do it for tonight. Thank you guys so much for coming on in, and until next time, have a good one. Oh wait, where'd it go? Okay, there we go. Until next time, have a good one, have a good night, and I will see y'all at Kansas on Friday.